Hi, this is Julie Ann Price and welcome to HealthyCoach.com. Today we're going to be talking about some simple, healthy tricks you can use to eat a better diet without making you feel deprived. A lot of times when you start on a better eating plan, you find that you can't stick to it for the long term because you're really feeling deprived. You can only go for so long with giving up your favorite foods before eventually you break down, you cave in, you have one cookie or one of this, one of that, and then all of a sudden you're like, I fell off the wagon, I had to start all over again. You get frustrated, you kind of beat yourself up. And there's better ways to do it. You don't have to go through that over and over again. So these are some very simple tricks, things you can start today to start eating healthier. The first trick that I recommend is to use something called Mitchie's Ladder. Again, you can find this on our website. I got it off of one of my Beachbody fitness guides, but I've included a PDF of it on the website. And what it does is it breaks food down into 5 categories. The best food being on the top, the junk food being on the bottom. What I like about this is you could have a chance to kind of go through and highlight all the foods you like in these top categories. And I think you'll be surprised at how many foods you do like and realize, I don't always eat junk food. I do eat a lot of food from these top 2 categories. And what I recommend to you is to use the crowding out method. And what that means is you're just going to eat more healthy food and crowd out the bad food. I'm not saying you can't have the cookie or the piece of cake that you really want. You can have it after you've had some of the good foods. And you set the limits for yourself. Maybe you say, well, I have to have a food from these top 2 categories with every meal. Or maybe I have to have 5 of these top 2 foods every day. You set it up based on what you look at and say, okay, there's definitely a breakfast, lunch, and dinner item, or however it works for you. But set a limit and say, this is what I'm going to meet every day. And I can't have that junk food from this bottom category until I've hit this goal. That will help you kind of crowd it out without feeling deprived. And that's the key. You don't have to use willpower. You look at it and say, well, here's what my menu, here's what I'm going to pick, this is how I'm going to plan my food for the day. And yes, I can still have that dessert item when I want to, but it's after I've eaten all this good food. Very simple, very easy trick to get you to eat healthy. Another trick that I like is pre-planning. Kind of look ahead. If you know you're going to be running a lot, if you know you're having food on the go, just about every one of these little restaurants, these fast food places, has a nutrition guide. This happens to be Bruegger's Bagels Guide, but Panera has them, McDonald's has them. Take a look at it. It breaks down all the food into calories and the carbs, the proteins, the fats. So it gives you an idea of what you're eating. Do this ahead of time. Get to know what are the 2 or 3 things I can really have at this restaurant without feeling that I'm going to overboard on my carbs or overboard on my calories. Get to know what works for you. That way when you're on the run and you can't get to have a healthy meal at home, you know what you can rely on. So you know where to stop, you know what to order, and you don't have to worry about panicking and picking the wrong thing. You've heard the stories of how the salads at McDonald's, you thought it was healthy, but by the time they loaded all the stuff on it, it was far from it. Now you'll know in advance. Just pick a couple of the things up front that you know you can order with safety. So again, just a little bit of planning. Another tool I like is if you really, really like your sweets, they have teas that will help you cut your cravings. Now for me, I love having sweets at night. And I found this tea, it's called Sweet Tamer's Tea from Jean's Greens. I have the link on my website if you'd like to purchase it. It's a loose tea. You have to use a tea infuser with your cup of tea. But what I love is when you take it, it cuts your cravings. And there's some ingredients in here, and again, I list them on my website because I have a tough time pronouncing them, that kind of cut your cravings. And it's great. So I take it when I'm finishing dinner, because I always after dinner want to have a sweet. So I have this as I'm finishing dinner, and then I kind of just don't want it anymore. You're like, well, I'm good, I'm set. I feel kind of full. So have this whenever you feel your cravings are at their strongest. Maybe it's late at night, or maybe it's right after lunch. Whatever is your worst time, have a little cup of this, and it will cut your cravings. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that make a tea that has a sweet craving mechanism in here to cut your cravings. But again, this is the one I use, and I do recommend it, and it tastes good. One thing about this is it only works when you actually take it. That's kind of been my downfall. It works so well that I know I'm not going to want the cookie, or I know I'm not going to want dessert if I have it. So you have to kind of force yourself to have it sometimes, because there's times when you just want to, I really just want dessert today. If you have this, you know you're not going to want it. So it only works if you take it. I recommend actually taking it. Again, simple, easy trick that you can do. Other things you can do is use a smaller plate. I know you've heard this before, but are you actually doing it? When you go to a restaurant, use the appetizer plate or the salad or bread plate, depending on how they're sized. Put your entree on there and leave the rest on the main plate and have that boxed up to go. When you're home, again, use a smaller plate. you will have your portions automatically be smaller because they just don't fit. You don't need to pile it high, just a small plate and make it work for you. Another easy trick is no portion size bigger than your fist. So your meat, your potato, whatever your starch is, should be no bigger than your fist. That's an easy way to track what you're eating and control without sitting there weighing it or counting calories. Simple. Is it bigger than my fist? Then cut it smaller. Don't force yourself to overeat or don't force yourself to clean your plate if you're full. Simple little tricks that you can use. Another thing that I recommend is to start being aware of the types of things you're eating. There's so much out there that you might be craving that really is full of junk. Do a little online research. I'm going to have 2 videos for you in the future. One is the Daily Burn and one is on Spark People. These are 2 online websites that are great at helping you cut your cravings or help you be more aware of the foods that you're eating. And I'll go through them a little bit, but just to give you a highlight, the Spark People is a great website for motivation. There's a lot of people interacting and kind of going through the same things you're going through. And there's a whole section that you can create custom trackers. So if you're trying to maybe eat less cookies or you're trying to have more water, you can make trackers that say, and you click them every time you have whatever it is that you're tracking. And you can start to see a big picture of how things are going for you. You can even track your moods. Did you feel great today? Did you feel kind of mellow today? What was your energy level? And look at that in comparison to what you were eating. And you can start to tie things together. It's a great website. And again, I go into depth on this another video. The other one is the Daily Burn. And I really like the Daily Burn because it helps you track calories so easily. And what I found was, yes, I knew how many calories I had to have for each day, but I wasn't paying attention to what those calories were made up of. And I was finding my protein was very low. I'm a vegetarian. And my carbs were very high. I was off the chart on my carbs. So it started to make me realize what I was eating and started to help me make smarter choices. So I recommend you watch the 2 videos, one on the Daily Burn and one on the Spark People, just to get an idea of what it is you're eating and get some help from other people going through the same things that you're going through. Getting back to our simple tricks, things that you could do such as brushing your teeth after lunch. For me, when I finish lunch, I want something just because I don't want that taste in my mouth anymore and I don't want to have bad breath if I'm talking to people. Instead of having that sweet, get up and brush your teeth right after lunch. Your mouth's going to be clean, it's going to feel fresh, and you're not going to want to get it all dirty with some junk food and some sugar. So it just helps, but again, you have to actually get up and brush your teeth because you know once you do that, you're not going to want anything. And then a few hours later, you're like, well, I can have dessert, but I'll wait a few hours. A few hours later, when maybe that toothpaste feeling starts to wear off, you realize, well, it's almost time to go home. I can wait, I can make it home. And then when you get home, you have a healthy dinner. You don't need to eat all that junk food. Another simple trick is no eating after 7 o'clock. I know you've heard that before, but between 7 and 10, you let your body kind of digest completely. You have an empty stomach when you go to bed, and you'll feel great in the morning. And again, this works great with the crowding out method. If you eat dinner, maybe at 6-ish, you're not going to be hungry at 7. You're done. You just had a meal. You tell yourself, well, if I'm hungry at 7, I can have dessert, but otherwise, I'm done for the day, maybe tomorrow I'll have dessert. Again, you're not depriving yourself, you're just setting up some rules that allow for dessert when you feel like it. But many of the times you find you won't. So again, you're not saying, no dessert ever. That's not the case. So there's other times when maybe you've eaten an early dinner and you're hungry at 6:30, 6:45, and you have dessert. But if you've had your tea, maybe you won't want dessert. So these are just simple tricks you can kind of layer into your life. Easy things you can do. You can plan ahead, look for the healthy meals when you're on the run. And you'll find in the long run that you're doing some good thing without even really working very hard for it. And the nice thing is your family might start catching on. They might start to realize some of the things that you're doing, especially that Mitchie's Ladder. Go through it with your family and see what foods that they like and have them play the same game with you. How many foods can we eat from the top category today? It's just little tricks that you can use to have a healthier diet without feeling deprived. So I hope this video helped you. Hope you check out the other 2 videos on the Spark People and the Daily Burn. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.